In today's exploration, we will be uncovering the former gold rush ghost town known as Monte Cristo. The town was active as a mining area for gold and silver from 1889 to 1907, and later became a resort town that operated until the 1980s. In the early summer of 1889, Joseph Pearsall saw glittering deposits and traced them north to 76 Gulch, and that area, that became Monte Cristo. In 1890, settlers from all over came to the area with hopes of finding silver and gold. And in 1891, John D Rockefeller became interested in the area. His company would eventually take over the primary mines, paying $470,000 for them. Rockefeller's companies acquired a controlling 2/3 interest in the best properties of those mines. Another note, Frederick Trump, grandfather of former US President Donald Trump, was also active in the town. He operated a boomtown hotel that was very popular. The boom peaked in 1894, which at that time the town's population was well over 1,000. In 1895, there was 125 men employed in the mines with a monthly payroll of about $11,000. The start of the town's downfall occurred in November 1896. Major flooding washed away most of the town, and 1 year later, after recovering from the last flood, they were hit with another one. The repairs were too much, as it dug into the pocket of mining profits, and by 1900, most of the miners had left for the new mining booms in the region, leaving the town behind. The last settlers would leave in 1907, and then the town was abandoned. A short resurgence to the region was in the 1960s when Monte Cristo became a glorious resort, nestled in the mountains for those people that were up for the journey there. The resort later closed in 1983 when fires ripped through most of the town, and today we will be exploring what buildings remain here at Monte Cristo and see what's left. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up and enjoy your trip to the town. Very shortly on the trail, we came across a bridge completely collapsed. This is the main trail to get to the town, but this goes up in the woods. This could have been for coal carts, gold carts back in the day, but now it's seen better days. It's almost completely collapsing. There's even a warning sign here telling people that they're not responsible. The park's not responsible for injuries. Walking across this enormous tree that's crossed this river. It's so beautiful here. Looks like we're coming across some tracks for either trains, trolleys, or cars that would actually move the ore across this water passage here. Got some more rails over here on the trail, scattered throughout. You could assume before they were removed, this entire thing, this trail here, was the railway that shot right to Monte Cristo. So it's probably just a straight shot for some time here, and we'll start seeing some relics in no time of this old gold mining town. Okay, so we're very close to the town now, and what this sign said here, and what all this space is, why it's so not filled with trees, basically, is because they were dumping a lot of contaminated material right here. This is called the repository, and they removed all the toxic waste, what they could at least remove years ago. But as you could see, life starting to find its way back here. No trees though still. Maybe the ground is just too contaminated for that. But we're almost there. Very short amount of time left until we're up at Monte Cristo. Walking along the mountainside road here, what once was just a railway, spotted a house here in the distance. Our first view of what the town of Monte Cristo still has here in the mountains. Got some serious holes in the floor. But we still have some stuff here. Not much. Got some coffee cans. Flipped over furniture. And maybe a furnace over there in the corner. Super dilapidated structure at this point. I'm sure around here you could find a lot of cool stuff buried under the dirt here. Only a few artifacts left here at this shed. But we're gonna check out the rest of the town and what's left. We're finally here. Welcome to Monte Cristo. We're right here, and we're going to be able to jump into the town over the bridge here. And an important note I want to mention before we head over there is historical resources are pieces of the puzzle. When one is removed, the puzzle can lose both its value and meaning. It says leave historical items where you found them. So we're going to be checking as much out here of this old mining town. And with that note, message, we're going to keep that in mind. Just admire and just record the history left here. Definitely got to check out this little bridge here. Got the river flowing beneath us. Beautiful. You can see the mountains up there. Oh, look at this sign. Look at these signs for the old town. These are enormous. Vintage too, and they're still just over here. Wow. And you can see that mural there. You can see a man, I think got the shovel right there on his back. Got like a surveyor hat on, and he's standing on top of a horse. That's actually what that is. You can see the horse. And it's a surveyor on top of a horse on top of a rock. And that's pretty much what Monte Cristo was back in the day, 100 years or so ago. Just a mining town that came and went. And this is a sign for the lodge that I believe burnt down. Just to give you guys a size comparison of how big this sign actually is. This thing's legit. I don't know how old it actually is, but it's an old piece of wood. And you can see the ornate painting on here. The moss and the weather's just really taken away what was once here. But I'm glad it's still standing here and nobody threw it in the river or anything, because little details like this left in a big old town really paint the picture of the whole thing that used to be here. So we're gonna head about a half mile that way before we head to the town, and we're gonna check out an old mine that's over there. Apparently it's a Boston American mine. Quite the uphill hike later, and we made it up here. Got some boots here. Oh ho ho, there it is. We have a shack here. That might be for like a lift to bring things up and down into the depths of the mine. But we have the tunnel right there. The door's a little ajar. We'll see how far we can get inside. This is super creepy. not that inviting, especially knowing it's been closed for over 100 years, or at least 50. You could see a little bit in this old mine. You have these old pieces of wood holding it up. Quite sus. You can hear dripping in there. I don't have any maps of this mine or any knowledge of it. And because of that lack of knowledge, I'm not going to go in there because it could be very unstable. Anything could happen. And I haven't even seen the town yet. And just to think, this little mine right here, or the entrance of it is so little, but it created so many jobs, made so much money, not only here, but around the world, around the country, I really should say at the time. Trains, people loading things into cars, and this went all around the country coming from this mine. And just to think that one day it shut down, ran out, ran dry, and a lot of those jobs and the economies for a lot of areas went downhill. So it's cool just to sit in front of this place that a lot of people came in and out of throughout the decades. Norman house site. Got some pots, pans, some pants hanging up. Got a first aid kit on the ground. Forks, little tins here and there. Still a decent amount of things left here in this shed. Even have some dates here, October 92. And that looks like the only date here. And here we finally are, inside Monte Cristo. And right away we have like a deposit box for ore leaving the mine, just rusting away out here. And this was the powerhouse, as the label says. Yeah, so the powerhouse is right here. And something super interesting, this is a turnstile rail track, if I have that correct. Very ahead of its time. We have these wheels on the bottom here, and they would spin this around. The mine's all the way up there, so some of the train cars would come into town this way, and I don't know what other way they would have it set up, maybe coming from that way once upon a time. But this is apparently a very historical item here, left in this old ghost town.
It still works!
Yeah, this is the railway turntable, still here in Monte Cristo. And this house says Pearsall on it. And because of that, I think it may have belonged to Joe Pearsall, one of the two people, along with Frank Peabody, who actually discovered the gold and silver here once upon a time. So it does say Pearsall above the door. So maybe this was his little shack here. We got some more over this way. So right next to the Pearsall home, we have the second house here. This was the saloon back in the day. And next to the saloon on this side, this was Peabody's cabin here. And spread out in front of it, we have a lot of metal and different things that were probably left all around this town, and people put them over here just to put them on display. This could have been on a rail car. You could see some more stuff here. Bed frame. Very eerie here. And very peaceful too. This whole time, I've been out here hiking for about 6-7 hours today. I mean, when we're done with it, it's gonna be about 10 hours and we haven't seen a single person. A true ghost town. And one thing that stands out in this pile, got this. First of all, people use it as like a fire pit now. But there's a giant old safe here under this tree. This is awesome. Blast it open. I've seen similar banks or vaults inside buildings that were built around or occupied during the Great Depression, so it's kind of like maybe 1930s. So when this era of bank vault were used. Got a bed spring here. You can see the original stone flooring. This was all indoors. Or actually that looks like it was lifted there. Maybe there was an awning over this area. But this was the lodge here. The Monte Cristo Lodge. That's actually the sign we saw coming in is for this exact location. And this is one of the landmarks here that were burnt down. This is after it was a mining town. This is what it looked like over here. But yeah, the lodge burnt. Cause unknown. And that was only 19 years later. And then all we have left is the original structure here, as well as some sinks. And another box spring right behind here. Here we are at the Blake House. According to history, this was built 1893 and it still stands to this day. We're coming across some more cabins across the river here. This little picket fence here in front of this abandoned shed. Very creepy. But this is one of the nicer houses here. I just like how it's a little off the beaten path from the rest of the town. A little more private here. I also have that creek right behind. Constant ASMR. And you could see some of the decorations that were actually up here once upon a time. This one was built in 1904, a little bit later than the other one. But at one point during its peak, this town had 1,000 occupants here. Crazy to think that. Now it's completely dead. Highly recommend the hike up here though. Beautiful hike. A lot of history here too. Oh, we got a few cabins down here. So now we're on Dumas Street. This was the main road for this place. Before, what we were checking out is basically where the settlers first moved. And now we can really see the insides of some of these old buildings left behind. This whole cabin's leaning back. Oh, we got some furniture in here. We got some real deal stuff left behind. Super decayed. You got a table left behind, pots and pans on that table. You can see the brick. Finally, we were able to see the insides. Not sure when this stuff was left. But just by the looks of it, probably 60s, 50s, about the same time the resort, or really the lodge, shut down. And check out that couch color. That's the one we just came out of. Here's another little lonely cabin, all by itself over here. Freshly boarded in comparison of the other ones. This might have just been an outhouse, to be honest. Guarded right by the houses, we have some old railways. Just the line here thrown out, and you can actually see so much of it all around there. They just ditched them over here. It's all over the place. While we're back here, might as well take a look at the outhouse. Not bad. I could smell it, I could tell you that. Now we're coming across some ruins of sites. You could see what the building once looked like. Beautiful home. Built in 1919 and destroyed by fire in 1944. So yeah, that used to be over here. And I think at this time, we're going to be witnessing just what was, because there's markers here of where houses were, but they're all gone. This whole street, this whole area devastated by fire, flood, multiple times. Really sad that a lot of the places, a lot of the buildings that were once here are now all gone. Got another old pot. This is probably the oldest one we've seen so far. Now we're at the site of the once Royal Hotel. This was built in 1896, and it actually was the town's finest 3-story high hotel. Later served as a lodge until the late 1930s, and it was torn down and recycled. And next to this is a memorial for James Kyes, commander of the USS Leary, which was lost in 1944. And this white picket fence here, which surrounds a fir tree Kyes brought down here from Addison's Peak, and he planted this tree as a boy in the 1920s, and it's still here, thriving. Beautiful tree. Look at all the moss and just growth on here. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tree, and you have this picket fence and the memorial both here. Kind of an eerie part of this town here, and really the only thing left on Dumas Street. You can actually see some of the text here. Now we're at the top of Dumas Street. We made it to the guide's cabin, and already outside we have this metal bedpost. Look at that. You can see a little design here. A little flower. Nice little design in this iron frame. But we can take a look inside here. Oh, nice. Got 2 floors. I guess the guide would sleep up there. There's probably still a bed up there as well. But you can see the floor is just collapsing. I mean, this going into any of these buildings is risking your life for not much. Get a little bit of a look inside here. Got the kitchen counter over there. Old oven. Not much else hanging around. Got a bed right beneath us. And some briefcases in there. Now we're at the site of the Monte Cristo Hotel. You could see some of the buildings here. I mean, so this is the building. This 3-story building was here. I mean, I can't even imagine that. Like, how are we looking at that same exact street. Like, there's so much different about this whole area, but it was here at one point. Just turned down Mercedes Street. I noticed this random plate just kind of inside the tree here. This must have been an original plate, you know, from the time period people were here, and somebody's made some makeshift art of it. Pretty funny. I was a little weirded out when I saw this, but yeah, we're making our way down Mercedes Street. I don't see much over here, but maybe there's something. It's just so crazy to see, like, look at the environment here. And at one point, this was a sprawling town. It had an amazing economy, all self-sufficient, so many different businesses, hotels, and now it's just a forest. You would have no idea. This is what I mean right here. So we're on this black road that turns this way, curves to the right. That's the same exact road. Curves going that way. And you could see all the blocks that were here. Like it was a sprawling place. And now it's just nothing. All right, everybody, that's gonna do it for today's ghost town exploration. I had a blast. I mean, there was a lot more stuff here than I originally anticipated just by doing some research online. I didn't see as many pictures of the cool stuff here, but I'm glad I showed up. I'm glad we're able to see in about 2 buildings that had some stuff inside of them. It's kind of a bummer that not a lot is left behind. But the things that we are finding, the old tools and all these old materials that are laid out across this ghost town, it's also fascinating because back then, I mean, there really wasn't a lot of documentation. I think documenting old ghost towns like this, I mean, it's really important. I mean, these places are not going to be here forever, and the buildings that are here, I mean, they're just testaments of time. We're lucky to be able to see some of the stuff we have seen today. And it's just a jump back into the past. I had an absolute blast here. A lot of history here in this old ghost town, and I'm super happy I was here to experience it for my own eyes. And the scenic area here is absolutely beautiful. I had a blast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the exploration. Also, if you did, leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more ghost towns and just more explorations. We're doing it all this year. So anyway, peace out. Stay curious. Have a good day.